Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the final part of the series looking at the emails that were sent in the very early stages of the Kenneth Kratz sexting scandal, the emails that were sent to and from the Department of Justice, in particular to an agent there called Kevin Potter. So this is a look at the last lot of emails that were sent to and from, as I say, Kevin Potter and Ken Kratz. Quite early on the morning of Monday, the 16th of November, this is when Ken Kratz wrote to Kevin Potter to say that he is happy just to speak to Kevin Potter about this this situation. In fact, he puts that, happy to talk just to you, assuming that you have the authority to resolve this case. And Ken Kratz simply wants, as he puts it, direction and resolution. Late on in the afternoon, Mr. Potter replies to Ken Kratz with a list of times on both Wednesday and Thursday that he would be available. Once again, very early, even earlier next morning, Tuesday the 17th at 8:54, Ken Kratz sends another email to Kevin Potter. He is desperate now. He writes, "In anticipation of our call, or perhaps in lieu of," in other words, he doesn't even want to have to face a phone call. He would rather this be the final email. "The following is what I would propose to resolve this dispute and disagreement." I don't think anybody would describe it as being a dispute and a disagreement, Ken. They have you by the proverbials because of what you did. This isn't a case of negotiate your way out of it. It certainly shouldn't be. He puts point number one. This is Ken Kratz, in effect telling Kevin Potter of the DOJ this is what he would suggest to resolve the issue, and we don't even need to have a phone call. Point number one. The DOJ has determined that referral to the OLR, the Office of Lawyer Regulation, is unnecessary as there is no specific violation to report. That the DOJ has considered my history to see if there is a question about my honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer in other respects. He writes, "I have a history of zealous advocacy and that this uncharacteristic behaviour was immediately rectified by me." Point number two, "You will email a letter reflecting this." Point number three, "As a self-imposed sanction, I will resign from the Crime Victims' Rights Board, and I will tell the Wisconsin District Attorneys Association of my decision." Point number four, "No public disclosure by Department of Justice, nor will they leak to a third party. Should that occur, the DOJ will issue a statement that after DOJ and DCI investigations, no violation was found of Wisconsin statutes or the rules of professional conduct." Well, pleased to be able to report that Kevin Potter replied back and basically told Ken Kratz, no, this is not simply a negotiation. This is not up for negotiation. This is at 11:50 on the Tuesday morning. Just after midday, Ken Kratz back to Kevin Potter realising that this is beginning to go wrong for him big time, and he realises that the DOJ will not play ball. He writes, "Do you intend to reject my proposals? Are you not interested in a resolution? I've done my bit by I'll do my bit by resign from the CRVB in the hope that that will completely limit the damage." To which the response comes back that from Kevin Potter, that he's going to set up, that they're going to have the phone call. He also, I'm trying to think where I've put that little bit of interest. As I say, Kratz wanted to just speak to Kevin Potter. Kevin Potter's having none of this, and points out that there will be 2 people on the call. He writes that we're going to call you to discuss your options, but it won't just be me on the call. It'll be my, I think, manager or administrator or somebody, Mr. Means, if I remember rightly. And so that's as far as we go, as far as emails between Ken Kratz and Kevin Potter. And I think we can see quite clearly the attempts by Ken Kratz to diminish this as much as possible, to keep going on about his years of service. Interestingly, I did find out one bit of information. Remember I mentioned in big capital letters, my unconditional support. Well, that unconditional support includes sending money to the Attorney General for the election run of the Attorney General. So he feels that because of his unconditional support, having sent money to the Attorney General's election campaign, that he is due a return on that investment, which is kind of forthcoming, I'm sure, as we go through the various emails. I know that Eric Ose will be doing some more videos about this, and just about how the process unravelled from then on. Interesting, isn't it, that during these exchanges, the DOJ has not investigated all the other cases, and I'm absolutely sure that this is one of the things that Ken Kratz is absolutely determined to try and avoid, is to let this be considered by Department of Justice as a one-off. But of course, as we find out, there are 15 women who eventually come forward and complain about his behaviour, going back to as early as 1999, I believe. And of course, it's quite interesting when he tries to mitigate his actions, almost as if it's not his fault at all, that somebody else is to blame for his behaviour. So we've got quite a lot to get through, including want to get hold of a where did I put it? We've got so many, as I say, items to go through, including the self-report by Ken Kratz to the OLR, which of course is very much it's not really my fault, and you've got to give me credit for all my good behaviour. This was a one-off, and obviously you've then got the disciplinary complaint by the Office of Lawyer Regulation. You've got the DOJ investigation, and one thing that I've been able to find plenty copies of on the internet are there's a document a Supreme Court document, the Office of Lawyer Regulation versus Ken Kratz, and it's got the 104 bulleted points, and it makes reference to a report by a retired judge, Robert Kinney. But can you find that report anywhere? There's myself, Julie Pompom, several other people have tried to find this report by Robert Kinney. It's referenced in just about every news article you can come across, but they never ever include a link to the report. It's a real mystery as to why this report is just doesn't seem to be available. As I say, I've got examples of where they've quoted bits from the report, but we just cannot seem to find the full report. If anybody has any suggestions, has it, or knows how to get hold of it, please let us know. I think it would be interesting to have the complete set of reports and documents generated by the disgraceful behaviour of, well, how is history going to remember Ken Kratz? Ken Kratz, up until then, was and still does boast about the fact that he was the one that convicted Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. His whole little charade is being exposed. As Kathleen Zellner puts it, she is looking forward to unmasking Ken Kratz. And tomorrow is the day that the District 2 Court of Appeals will receive her filings, which apparently were filed on Friday, as she was on a plane to Phoenix. So by the time she gets to Phoenix, Ken Kratz will be crying. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today. Catch you soon. Bye for now.